Hello, drivers. As you may or may not know, I want to explain how I came up with the character Iron Duke. He is literally based on a real driver who started driving in 1965. Back in the days when the highways were ruled by chrome diesel smoke and the crackle of a CB radio, there was a truck driver named Ray Collins. Ray started driving when, the rigs were loud and the roads were rough, and a driver earned his reputation by the mile. He wasn't the kind of man who talked about himself much. But if you ran the road long enough, you'd hear his name on the CB. He had a different handle, which I'm not going to bring up because I know a lot of people know him. Probably most of us are no longer here, but drivers knew him as the guy who could make time across 3 states before most men finished their second cup of coffee. And that's just a fact. Then along came a younger driver in 1984, me. I was still learning the ropes when I met Ray. Back then, trucking wasn't something you learned from a manual. You learned it from another driver. Someone who had already fought the mountain grades, winter storms, and endless nights rolling through small-town truck stops. Ray took me under his wing. He showed me how to read a hill before we even started to climb it. He taught me how to listen to the engine instead of just watching the gauges. Engine timing was something that you really had to negotiate in order to get it in gear without grinding. He explained how to keep your cool when traffic stacked up and the clock was ticking. But the real classroom wasn't a truck stop diner or a dispatch office. It was the open highway. Somewhere between long nights and longer miles, Ray's legend started to grow, in my mind anyway. He had a way of driving that most truckers respected and very few tried to keep up with. Ray didn't just drive trucks. He commanded them. With the CB radio, it always came alive with him, with chatter and everything. I could always tell when Ray was rolling. His convoy would stretch out across the highway like a moving freight train of chrome and diesel. And one thing was always certain. Ray drove fast, real fast. Not reckless, not wild. Just fast in that smooth, confident way that only seasoned drivers could pull off. You got to realize back in the day, the speed limit across the United States was 55 miles an hour. That wasn't going to get us anywhere real fast. He knew every curve, every grade, every shortcut through the mountains. That's why in my mind, Ray Collins became something bigger than just a truck driver. He became a character, a living legend of the highway. I gave him a name that sounded just as strong as the man himself, Iron Duke. The name fit perfectly. Iron because trucking takes toughness, and Duke because he carried himself like the king of the road. I know. I'm going to build Iron Duke into something real special, and it's going to be a lot of different stories, a lot of stories that actually happened. It's going to be based on everything I know, but there is going to be some things added to make it more exciting. From that moment on, the character was born. But Iron Duke wasn't just fiction. He was built from real miles and real lessons and real memories from a man who taught me the craft. Ray Collins became the inspiration of Duke Collins, the man behind the wheel of the legend. Now, because of the way Ray used to lead trucks across the highways like a general leading an army, I gave him one more title, the Convoy King. The drivers in my stories follow Iron Duke across mountains, down steep grades. Some of them even work in restaurants, mechanic shops. And through long midnight runs, his Peterbilt rolls steady. The CB crackles with chatter, and somewhere out there a line of trucks form, always up behind him. Just like the old days. Because the truth is, every legend on the highway starts somewhere. And for Iron Duke, it started in 1965 with a truck driver named Ray Collins. And in 1984 with a young driver who was lucky enough to learn from him. They called me Rookie. The miles have passed, the highways have changed, and Ray is no longer with us. But my stories of the legend of Iron Duke, the Convoy King, have started rolling on down the road. Please tell your friends about my character, Iron Duke. There will be many stories, many songs, and lots of fun coming your way. I appreciate you folks always. And like I always say, God bless, be safe, and keep it between the lines, driver.